Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today what we're going to talk about is fishing A-rigs on cypress trees. This time of year, I'm throwing a mini A-rig. Now I've done a couple videos. If you go to my page, you can see where I talk about the A-rig, and then I do a video where I do my A-rig setup. And now this is a mini A-rig. This is not your full-size A-rig, although you probably could throw the full-size A-rig. You're just going to lose your ability to kind of throw it in tight spaces and things like that. It's going to get hung up a little bit more, but trust, even throwing the mini A-rig, you're going to get hung up. You're going to, the bait's going to foul. Even throwing the proper cast, which is an underhand kind of a lob cast, and you're not going to be able to get in all the spaces that you're normally used to getting into with, say, a spinnerbait. But I promise you this much: you would catch more fish, you would catch bigger fish. And I'm going to show you exactly my settings. And I want to say this, I need to let you know this: I must eat a little crow. I'm getting used to the Lowrance active targets, and through the advice of a couple people, I lowered my gain down, and this is crazy, to about 68%, which happens to be dead on with my exact settings that I use in LiveScope. 68% seems to be good across the board in both companies. And when I did that, I really started to see the detail in these trees, started to see the detail in the cypress knees. And I gotta say, the way I'm fishing this, that 18-degree cone, pretty amazing, because it allows you to really pinpoint in and get your cast and see your bait in this. So I gotta say, liking active target more and more and more. So let's get in this video, guys. Thanks for watching. Please consider subscribing. 1,000 subscriber giveaway coming up. Let's go. All right, guys, let's get straight into this. And the first thing I got to do is eat a little crow. As I've adjusted the contrast down into the 68 to 73 range, probably could even go a little bit lower than that. I got to tell you, loving it. Still think my favorite color palette is palette number 2. And that's just because I've come from LiveScope and I'm a little bit more used to that color palette. It kind of resembles their amber and it kind of fits my eye. And it's a beautiful color palette. But let's get into our settings. 40 foot forward range. I like that when I'm fishing around trees or visible cover. Although you can go out to 60, 70, 80 feet with active target. Around this particular what I'm fishing 30, 40 foot away. You can see an Alabama or A-rig coming by that tree right there. Look at the beautiful ribs in that tree. It's just amazing detail on it. Lowrance has got that down pat. Now that I've learned more, I'm learning more as I go with this. It is definitely, the details getting better. I would say their screen is just beautifully clear regardless. But look at that fish about 10 foot there swimming on the edge of that cypress tree. Obvious bass. You don't have to decipher a return. That's pretty good. It's different than it is in LiveScope. LiveScope, you kind of got to decipher returns. You don't have to do it in Lowrance. Lowrance got that down pat. 40 foot forward range. I like to go double the depth. If I'm in 4 foot, I like to go about 8, 5 foot about 10. It don't have to be exact, but I do that for two purposes. Josh Jones always doubles his depth or fairly close to it. Now, first of all, I think when you zoom in on very, very small, when you zoom in on, like, say, 4 or 5 foot, it becomes pixelated and blown out a little bit. And secondly, whatever the, for example, if the machine is in, if you're in 8 foot of water and you tell it you're in 16 or 20, it will send more power because it thinks you're in deeper water. It doesn't know the depth you're reading. It just thinks you're in deeper water. So it gives a little bit more power, shoots it out there, and it helps clear up that image. I promise you, it makes a crisper, more clear image by doubling it. Now, if you get out in 30 foot, you don't have to put it in 60. You can put it in 40 or 45. But always, the standard rule has always been 3 foot below the bottom, and I just don't believe that's true. I kind of go with the Josh Jones method on this, and he is the GOAT, so I'm not going to argue with the GOAT on this. The man is bad to the bone. He's done it with anything you can put in his face. I'm convinced he could do it with Humminbird and Mega Live, and that stuff is garbage. So double the depth, about 40 foot forward range, and I'm using about anywhere from 68 to 73 contrast. Probably could even go a little lower. Noise control off. And this is something that I've noticed with Lowrance. Even with noise control off, And the reason I do that is because I want to pick up every little movement in the water, especially in very, very shallow water where these fish tuck into folds of the trees, into cypress knees, and they really hide. So I want that noise control off, but even with it off, that screen is still beautifully clear. I mean, beautifully clear. It is so amazing. Loving Active Target. Guys, thanks for watching and subscribing. You guys are great. So guys, what'd you think about that? I'm learning more and more about Active Target, I'm not gonna lie. I bought it because of the classes that I do, and I'm learning the settings more and more. A lot easier to do than Garmin. Much easier to set up than Garmin LiveScope, I will tell you that. Garmin's got about 43 different adjustments to it, whereas Active Target, there's not as many. There's noise reduction and palette color and your gain or contrast. So I'm learning this. I would say that the more I get that number dialed in, the more detail I see. And I tend to run my noise control off. When I'm in this very, very shallow water, because I really want to see the fine details of the bait movement. I also want to see that fine detail of the fish coming after it, which I will say this much: with Garmin, you can't tell as well what kind of fish they are. With Lowrance, that's a no-brainer. You can tell it's a bass. You can see him coming to swim. So I got to say that Active Target is better in that way. But guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and you know it. You've got to ring the bell.